Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome to our coffee times together. Today I thought I would bring you some recommendations, and in this recommendations video I am talking about some Spanish horror movies. Now, for all of you that don't know, or maybe are new to my channel, I come originally from Spain and I have been living in Germany for the past 12-13 years more or less. So I always wanted to make videos based on Spanish movies, Spanish horror, things like that, but I never really got to it. So I decided, why not? Let's do it now. I'm just gonna talk about a couple of my favorites, or the ones that I remember really enjoying them the moment that I watched them. Some of these I have not rewatched in a long time. It is only a total of, I think, 5 movies that I put on this list, but if you guys are interested in knowing more about Spanish film in general or Spanish horror movies, I can definitely make more videos like this.
It's coffee time!
The first film that I'm going to talk to you about is probably one of the most well-known Spanish films. It's kind of like a thriller combined with a bit of horror, and that is Thesis from 1996. This was the feature debut of director Alejandro Amenábar and was written by Amenábar and Mateo Gil. The film was made while he was studying at the Complutense University in Madrid. The film follows Anna. She is a student at university and she decides to write her thesis based on violence in film. And so she is going to the archive that they have there in order to find some material for her thesis, and she finds an allegedly snuff film. So in this film she can see how a girl is being tortured, and that girl she recognizes as an old student that had disappeared. So from then on, that's where our movie takes off, and I think this is such a good debut film. It won several awards, and for being such a low budget, it did such a wonderful job, not just with the acting but also building up the tension. The movie also does a wonderful job to put fear into the viewer. This is a movie that I remember being very unsettling and very disturbing in certain ways. So it's like a very dark thriller, you know, crossing the border with horror, because it is in the end about a snuff film that they discovered. And I definitely recommend you to give this one a try if you have not heard or have not had the opportunity to check it out. Next we have The Nameless from 1999. This is an independent Spanish horror film directed by Jaume Balagueró and starring Emma Vilazaru, Cara Elejalde, and Tristan Ulloa. This is another one that it's kind of a mix of horror and thriller, but I remember when I watched this movie for the first time, I was really impressed by it. Now granted, I have not rewatched it since then, so I don't know if it holds up for me, but I really enjoyed this movie the time that I watched it. I think I own a DVD copy, so I should maybe revisit it soon. But anyways, this is based on a novel by Ramsey Campbell. He's also the writer that did The Influence, which was also recently adapted by Netflix, also a Spanish movie, so I guess we Spanish people like Ramsey Campbell stories. And it is about a woman whose daughter appears one day murdered and mutilated, and years later she receives a call from somebody that claims to be her daughter, and so she kind of starts an investigation together with the police to figure out what's going on. And that's how the movie starts, and I really enjoyed this one. It is very dark, the imaginary, the cinematography, it's very dark, and this is another one that I think you should definitely give a chance if you have not watched it yet. I just really like the atmosphere that the movie has, the cinematography, and I have seen that in Rotten Tomatoes it only has, I think, 20% or something like that, but we all know that we cannot trust Rotten Tomatoes all the time, so please still give it a chance. Next we have The Others from 2001. I believe this one is a little bit more well known since it's starring Nicole Kidman. This is a Spanish gothic supernatural psychological horror film written, directed and scored by Alejandro Amenábar. It stars Nicole Kidman, Fionnuala Flanagan, Christopher Eccleston, Elaine Cassidy, Eric Sykes, Alakina Men, and James Bentley. So in this movie we meet Grace, played by Nicole Kidman, that moves together with her 2 children that are very photosensitive. They move into this beautiful home, and As the moment, you know, when the movie starts, you already kind of have this feeling of being in one of those gothic supernatural films. One of the things that Amenábar does so well in his movies is whatever the topic might be, he manages to create such a beautiful atmosphere and cinematography. And this movie is another one that the shots and everything is kept fairly dark. Also, I guess because the kids are photosensitive. But this is a movie that I think everybody should really watch, because it has one of those plot twists that really has an impact when you figure it out. And it's one of those movies that once you know the plot twist, you know, you're never gonna see the movie the same way again. But I remember really enjoying this one, and it's not a movie that has like a lot of jump scares. They don't utilize like a lot of special effects or anything like that, but it is still very effective when it comes to the creepiness and that feeling of being unsettling. Next we have The Devil's Backbone from 2001, and this is directed by Guillermo del Toro. I included it here because it is filmed in Spain and it is all with Spanish actors, even though Guillermo del Toro is from Latin America. And his first film is actually Cronos. That was his debut film, which is a little bit more gory, but I didn't include it here because that one is a movie based in Mexico, so it doesn't apply to Spanish movies like from Spain. This is a gothic horror film directed by Guillermo del Toro and written by del Toro, David Muñoz, and Antonio Trasorras. The film is set in Spain in 1939 during the final year of the Spanish Civil War. After the death of his dad, Carlos, a 10-year-old boy, is sent to an orphan school, and they take in orphans from the military, from politicians. And so while he's in this school, he gets to know the janitor, which it's played by Eduardo Noriega, which is for us in Spain a very well-known actor, and he seems to be very violent. But apart from that, there seems to be other secrets associated with this school, including a ghost, and so our 10-year-old kid is kind of trying to investigate and figure it out, those secrets. So Guillermo del Toro has movies that are very dark, and they are sometimes put under the horror genre. They are not always particularly like 100% horror like this one, but it is very dark and creepy, and it does include dark topics. And one of his best assets is the imaginary that he creates in his movies, the color palettes and the atmosphere that he creates. It's just amazing. Plus, he always manages to tell amazing stories that always have a lot of subliminal messages. So if you have not checked this one out, I definitely recommend you to give it a try, especially if you love Pan's Labyrinth. Moving on with The Orphanage from 2007. This is a Spanish supernatural horror film and the debut feature of Spanish filmmaker Juan Antonio Bayona. The film stars Belén Rueda, Fernando Cayo, and Roger Prinzep. So in 1975, Laura gets adopted from an orphanage, and 30 years later she decides to reopen this orphanage together with her husband and her 7-year-old son Simon. And what they want to do is convert it into kind of like a school for disabled children so that they can take care of them. So once they go to live at this orphanage, their son Simon is one day playing, and he starts to talk to another kid called Tomas that nobody knows about. And so this story is such a good supernatural tale. It's another movie that doesn't like overuse like jump scares or like a lot of special effects, but it's such a beautiful ghost story. It's just so classic gothic, if you want. And I think this might be one that not so many people maybe know about, but I think that is a must watch if you like supernatural movies, especially ones that have to do with ghost stories. And of course, I could not finish this video without recommending you Rec from 2007. Rec, short for Record, is a 2007 Spanish found footage horror film co-written and directed by Jaume Balagueró and Paco Plaza. So the movie is following a news reporter and her cameraman, and they are supposed to be covering a story about firefighters in a building in Barcelona. So when they enter this building though, the residents from the building starts to act really weird because they have been infected with an evil virus. And that's where everything starts. This is such a good found footage film. This is one of my favorite ones. It's up there on the top 5 of my favorite found footage films. I think it has such good atmosphere and it creeps the S out of you without, you know, being too over the top. I love movies that are not trying to be more than what they can be, if that makes sense for you. So that's what I really enjoy this one, especially the first one. The long shots like down the hall, you know, all the footage we get from the cameraman, it's just, it has such an impact, and I absolutely love the way that this movie was shot. I think it was just genius. There's always action going on, and they cannot leave the building because the government is also shooting everything that moves. Everything is chaos, and it's just great. The movie even got sequels. We got 2, 3, and 4, and it also was remade in the US as Quarantine. Alright guys, so these were 5 horror Spanish movies that you can check out if you have not checked yet. Let me know down below if you like Spanish horror, and if you have any specific favorite of yours, let me know in the comments. And also, you guys, let me know if you like this type of videos, because I definitely can make more like this. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and if you want to follow me in other social media, as always, the links are in the description box, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye.